I asked everyone to look up this 61-page arbitration report that the NFL is actively hiding. There have been multiple, what's it called, Free Information Act requests. I know from Mike Florio. I know from that brother who's filing the the Shador Sanders lawsuit. Obviously I don't know who else, but I know those two for sure. Florio has written about it. The NFL will not speak on it. More interestingly, the NFL Players Association won't speak on it. There's been very little in the 61-page report that we've been able to learn, but the crux of it has been, whether it's leaked or revealed or spoken about or whatever. And we know that teams were encouraged to not give guaranteed contracts to specific quarterbacks. Not to not give guaranteed contracts, but to not give guaranteed contracts to specific quarterbacks. The quarterbacks' names that we know, at least right now, that are in this report are Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and Lamar Jackson. And I mentioned yesterday there was going to be a moment today where we said we told you so. This is that moment. When all of that stuff was happening with Lamar Jackson, we knew right away this does not smell right. Not, hey, you're free to seek a trade. That's normal. Not a team using the market as leverage. That's normal. What's not normal is a sorry-ass franchise like the Atlanta Falcons very quickly and very publicly stating we have no interest in Lamar Jackson. I believe, by the way, they had no quarterback.
No.
The New Orleans Saints quickly and publicly stated we have no interest in Lamar Jackson. And Kenny and I sat here for days talking about this, like, how do you that quickly, after a team publicly gives a player permission to seek a trade, do you state your lack of interest? When you certainly don't have a player of his caliber at that position. You don't have a player of my caliber at that position. You two teams have changed quarterbacks maybe 5 times. The Saints quarterback just retired.
Sure.
The Falcons have one of the messiest quarterback situations in the entire league. But y'all were quick to say you didn't want a guy who had already won an MVP, went on to win another one that season. You were quick to say, no, not interested. And we said repeatedly, man, something does not feel right in all of this. You said quickly, not only do I think this is collusion between the owners and the agents. Lamar Jackson did not have an agent for his last contract negotiation. And the idea that the NFL colluded to make sure that a Deshaun Watson situation didn't happen again is not out of the realm. It was never out of the realm of possibility. And there's a lot of talk about what the settlement was between Eric Reed, Colin Kaepernick, and the NFL in their collusion case. The settlement money doesn't matter. The settlement is what matters. Because by settling, and people say, oh, it was in people like what's that guy? Albert Breer will be quick to tell you, oh, I've heard it was $5 to $8 million. It was really minimal dollars. Okay. That very well may be true, but I'm not buying it. And the reason I'm not buying it is the reason the NFL settles isn't the tax of a lawsuit and all of that different stuff. It's discovery. That's why you settle. And if you think what they found in what they could have found in discovery was only worth $5 to $8 million, you're sorely mistaken. The NFL, and this is like, I don't feel bad for them, but I absolutely believe they very purposely leaked that John Gruden email just to show Hey, look, we found something and we told you what it was immediately. 8,000 some odd emails and you found one. All right, man. There comes a certain point where you have to just recognize, and I know everybody loves the National Football League, and that is perfectly fine. There at some point, you just have to admit that league believes you're an idiot. They absolutely believe that what you see isn't real, whether it's Cap, Eric Reed, or Lamar Jackson. It is all panned out to be real. And the fact that the NFL Players Association will not speak on this on behalf of their players is stunning to me. Your job is representation. You are a union leader, and you are not doing what is best for your union. If the owners are actively engaging in a way to keep the salary of your union down, of your members down, excuse me, you have a problem as a union. But of course, this is a union that signed an 11-year CBA agreement. This is a union that has lacked a backbone for the last 2 decades. And now these individuals in the league right now are facing the consequences of it. And it is starting to feel more and more like, is it Haslam, Jimmy Haslam? Mm-hmm. The Browns was rogue. When he offered that contract to Deshaun Watson,
yeah, for sure.
The league collectively, the owners lost their goddamn mind and are doing everything they can to ensure that never happens again.
That's facts. I agree 100%. Man, you broke that down perfectly. What I did see from the 61-page report, I saw the names, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, and I remember back to all of their specific situations. The Kyler Murray thing, remember that was when he plays video games instead of studying. And the thought behind that, and I can't remember what I said at the time. I probably laughed at it. I probably thought it was, ridiculous that that's what he alleged to do. But it's also ridiculous that that comes out. And then also the thought process that he can be as good as he's been without ever studying. He just plays video games all the time. Like, come on, man. You can't do that in the NFL.
Yeah.
But it's always something, right? It's always something. And looking at the history of this league, and you laid it out perfectly, trying to make sure the truth doesn't get uncovered, never gets uncovered. It's suspect behavior to me. And whatever happens with Shador Sanders happened to him, he's fine financially, career-wise. I think he's fine. It didn't destroy his career. But that looks so fishy now.
So
that looks so fishy. You said it perfectly. I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I've seen this guy play for 2 years. I've saw the mock drafts. I've seen the projections. I never once heard or saw a 6th round quarterback with Shador Sanders.
And here's the I'm so glad you pointed that out, because if you're the owners in the National Football League and you have a players association that we know for sure once and potentially twice has hidden an arbitration ruling to protect all parties involved, what would make them think they can't get away with it again? In all of this, there's people I respect and respect their work, talking about there's no way teams colluded to make Shador Sanders drop in the draft. Okay, that might be true, but acting as if collusion in the NFL is insane, now you're the one that looks funny. Because one, there are two cases right in front of us. The Colin Kaepernick, Eric Reed case, and case is the wrong word. The Colin Kaepernick, Eric Reed ruling, and this mysterious ruling that no one can get their hands on. It's not a question of whether this exists. This exists. They just won't release it to the public, despite multiple requests to do so.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Glad we got the chat back. We got guys like Sean Mahler talking about we act like Shador ever won a damn thing in college. You feel how you feel about Shador, that's fine. I'm telling you, I watch college football every week. I go listen to the Mel Kipers, to Kirk Herbstreit and Desmond
Mel Kiper
Howard,
was beside himself.
Yeah, like not once did we ever see that man as a 6th round draft pick. You don't think he should be a 1st rounder? Don't think he should be the number 1 pick? All this, that's fine. You think he's a second day guy? That's fine. Not once in 3 years did anyone say, he'd be lucky to be in the league. He's a 6th round guy. And all of a sudden, that's how this plays out. Sometimes this is what I start to do sometimes. And maybe it makes me a conspiracy theorist to some degree or whatever. But sometimes just go with what makes sense. Collusion makes sense. As opposed to like, oh no, his velocity wasn't there. That's why he went. No, what?
Sometimes the simplest answer is the right answer. People, when you say something like collusion, people will bend over backwards to tell you you're crazy. But then they'll talk about velocity, or they'll start using stupid ass terms that they don't even know what they mean.
Right.
It's like people who talk about, and we'll get to Adam Silver later, but it's like people who talk about ratings, talk about NBA ratings and how bad they are. And this final, break television ratings down to me. You will bend over backwards to come up with some scenario other than the one that's the most obvious. Again, you don't think he's a 1st round pick? Fine. 2nd? Okay. But 6? And the thing
makes no sense.
The thing that I just struggled to get over in the Shador Sanders case is it was the 6th round. But he just so happened to land on the team who everyone thought he would land on in the first place. Now,
come on, man. What are we talking about?
It could be a coincidence. I could be an idiot. But man, what fool me one time, you can't get fooled again?
No.
Cap, this, but I'm supposed to believe, there's no way it happened with Shador.
Come on, man.
Okay.
Come on.
All right.
So, and the whole thing about it, like I said, these people are either colluding or they're dumb or both. Because we got guys like Sean, I'm not calling Sean dumb. I'm just saying guys like that saying he never won anything.
Because that's always been a big factor on how you're drafted.
What the hell did Mitch Trubisky ever do? What did he ever do? Run down his accolades to me, please. What do you go, number 2? No disrespect. He looked like a bum in college, and he ended up being a bum in the NFL. He wasn't no good.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, they're either incompetent or they're working together to carry out an agenda. I think it's the latter, personally.
And again, it's the simplest answer. It's not a conspiracy. We didn't phone Oliver Stone before this to sit down and JFK through this thing. It's the thing that makes the most sense.
They've shown this for 20, 30 years now, that these are the things that they do.
Yeah, we hadn't even gotten to we just had the name of it, the brain test that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago.
Race norming.
Race norming. You're right.
Race norming was going on. Not to mention multiple black college quarterbacks being told in the 90s and the 80s, hey, go out there and try and be a receiver because we're not drafting you as a quarterback. Like these are
Some of them
real things that happen.
That in the 2000s, but
that's what I'm saying. Like the documents and all this other stuff. We just talking about from the last 10 years. That's all that's being presented for the last 10 years when things supposedly have gotten better. What about before that?
Mm-hmm.
The 80s and 90s,
mm-hmm.
and how those things used to go about that way. So people can put their head in the sand and act like it doesn't happen. I just disagree with you. That's the best way, the nicest way I could say it. I disagree with you. I think these things do happen.
I don't know who the president of the NFLPA is.
Is it still DeMaurice Smith?
No, they ran him out of here.
I think he did the last CBA, right?
He did, and I think they ran him out of here immediately after that. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, I believe this is his name. He's the current president of the NFLPA. I would start preparing my explanation to. I would have a lot of questions right now if I'm at the top of the Players Association.
Well, here's the other thing.
I would have a lot of questions if I'm a paying member of the Players Association.
So that's the other thing that you brought up.
God forbid, if I'm Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, or Russell Wilson, I'm demanding to see this report.
So that's the other component of this. It feels like, and you did a lot of research. I did a little research about it as well. It feels like good old D'Lo and Casey are the only ones talking about this. Like, why is that not on First Take every day? Why is that not being talked about on PTI, respected shows? Like, this is here. This is a real story. At the very least, the fact that they're not allowing anybody, the public, to see what's in these documents, that alone is a story, let alone what we believe is in the documents.
Mm-hmm.
Why is nobody talking about this?
I don't have an answer. Trying to find out. So the Lloyd Howe Jr. Okay, Lloyd Howe Jr. is the one who he's the executive director. He's the one who succeeded DeMaurice Smith. Jalen Reeves-Maybin is the one. He's the president who represents the players. He's the one who better be asking some questions about how this affects my union, how this affects my players, and how can you assure me as the executive director of this association that this never happens again? What am I supposed to tell Kyler Murray? What am I supposed to tell Lamar Jackson? What am I supposed to tell Russell Wilson? Those are just the three names we know. We don't know that those are the only people that this happened to. Those are the three names that are public in a very secretive report.
Well, check this out. What am I supposed to tell CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams,
man,
Cam Ward, that this won't happen when it's your turn to go up for money? How am I, like, you're 100% right. These guys that have already been affected by it, I got to answer to that. But what about these guys that are staring this in the face? Like, I could be the next Kyler Murray. I could be the next Lamar Jackson. How can you tell me that this isn't going to happen to me?
They can't.
They can't, because it probably will.
Yeah, it's not going to happen to you is something that the NFL Players Association cannot say, because this stuff keeps happening. And that's why, whether it's Lloyd Howe or Jalen Reeves, that's why someone has to stand up. The race norming wouldn't have stopped if someone hadn't said something.
That's that. I don't know how they made it past that. That is insane.
Well, I can tell you how. Money and power. And I don't know which one comes first. I feel like it's money. And maybe that is where the fear of standing up to the likes of Jerry Jones and Stan Kroenke come into play. Because Cap stood up, figuratively, never saw the field again.
Right.
They can make that happen. Shador Sanders was slotted as the number 1 overall pick in the draft. 2, 3, rarely ever out of the first round until the final week. Never lower than the second.
Never.
The man was drafted 6th. If they want something, they can do it. I'm not. I ask everyone to remember, please take these things as individual things. I understand what was presented as to what Deshaun Watson did. I understand that. Does everybody remember when that started?
I do.
Has anyone been following that particular attorney since he became famous through this Deshaun Watson situation? Coincidence? Sure. Could be. But again, if I'm lining up dominoes, they're going to fall over pretty easily. It's not difficult. And it's becoming, man, this league is tough to support.
Here's another thing, like I said, being right in front of you. Mel Kiper. Do you think he makes these mock drafts and these predictions based on him being a college football guru and he understands talent? So like superior to anybody else? No. He's having conversations with people.
That's right.
That are in decision-making positions. We say, yeah, I think we're leaning this way. I think we might go with this guy. Down the list.
Yeah.
He didn't get that because I just know football and he's just really good. No, he's talking to the people who were. That's why he was so dumbfounded. Because people had been telling him this is where he's going to go. And then when you got to it, he said, this doesn't make any sense. We talk about whether Mel Kiper is right or wrong on whether a player is good or not until the cows come home. Mm-hmm. He rarely, really just misses that way on where they're going to be selected.
Mm-hmm.
So he just 6 rounds off. Come on, man. Once again, it's right there in front of your face. But you said something perfect earlier. They expect you to not, they bank on you not paying attention to what's right in front of your face.
I think with the NFL, it really is a case of your joy is worth more than your conscience. And I have said this repeatedly. If I got let go today, my life would be perfectly fine without the NFL. I don't have the 49ers like you do. I don't have the Raiders like some people do, or the Cowboys, or the Eagles, or all that. I don't have a connection to a team like that. I do enjoy the sport. Mm-hmm. But there is a certain point, like one of the first things I did, I just have trouble rationalizing it. One of the first things I did when Katie and I started dating is I gave her the autobiography of Malcolm X. I said, I'd really like you to read this. Mm-hmm. What do I look like giving her that book and sitting down and watching this organization? Mm-hmm. Now, this is very much my job, and I take my job very seriously. And again, it's not like I have to force myself to watch football. I enjoy the game of football. I enjoy watching brothers like Lamar Jackson, C.J. Stroud, Caleb Williams, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. I enjoy watching those guys play football. But, man, it is so tough to look past what this organization does, what this entity does on, it seems like, a year-to-year basis, and it's never going to change. Jerry dying doesn't change anything because it goes to Stephen. Where does Stephen learn all of his stuff? All of this stuff stays within the family. It's not getting sold. It's not getting, sent to bigger entities. Like it, you only sell if you mess up, and you mess up publicly. And that's what happened. Panthers, public sale, messed up. Your boy Snyder, messed up, sponsor pressure, get him out. it's going to be like this for ever.
Pretty much, I can't see it changing.